Let me say, in 2013, I was looking for jobs with my sister at the downtown. I met the guy in the door. I was like, I'm looking for a job, and he said, I don't speak Portuguese, I speak English. So we were start speaking English, and he loved that incredibly. And he said, show me your CV. I was ready, and took my CV and I gave to him. And he read that, he said, I like your English, you speak very well. And he said, look, come back at 2 p.m. I'm going to introduce you to my boss.
Olá pessoal, sejam mais uma vez bem-vindos ao canal Ângulo Polyglot. This is Bernardo Silvino, a.k.a. Nado Kanza, o vosso boy. Pessoal, hoje é um dia super especial. Sei que vocês estão a ver um cenário novo e eu tenho dois caras super. Eu sou um cara sortudo, não é? Eu queria ter um deles, mas acabei tendo os dois. Yeah, that's it, man. I have these two guys and they are amazing. Estes profissionais são aqueles profissionais que dominam inglês, mas conseguiram sair do inglês para uma outra dimensão. Hoje, além de atuarem em escolas, eles atuam em ambientes corporativos. Então, nada melhor do que trazer-vos aqui para falarmos sobre a importância do inglês no mercado de trabalho. É claro, naquela pitada aqui bem engraçada, bem divertida, conforme vocês estão habituados. Eu espero que vocês gostem, porque eu já gostei. Quando eu vi o currículo deles, eu fiquei, my God, man, I'm gonna have this man on my podcast. Oh my God, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be something from out of the world. So, guys, welcome to my podcast. It's a pleasure having you here.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, it's morning right here.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling good,
Okay.
very powered and ready for this conversation.
That's great. And you, man?
Well, I'm pretty much fine, and so it's a pleasure, being here with you.
Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
I think we will be discussing different issues, and we're going to have something great.
Yeah. I was planning to have you here, guys, for so long, and as I said in the beginning, at the first moment, I was planning to have you, each one of you, one by one.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm a luck guy, and I have you two guys here,
Both.
so I think it's gonna be a very interesting conversation.
Wow.
So
How like you are.
yeah. This is a must in this podcast. At the very beginning, that you guys introduce yourself. So it's gonna be the first.
Oh,
Please, your background is
Sure.
very important. Who you are, so that we can actually
no.
show people with whom they are dealing.
Nicolau is my name. I work with English more than 12 years. I'm a psychologist. I am a writer. I'm content creator. I'm also a translator and interpreter. So, my whole experience is based on English and psychology, basically.
English and psychology.
Yeah, I work with both of them. I'm very devoted psychologist because I like to read and explore, especially in the issues that related with our own reality, like learning. We were discussing that in backstage, like learning and behave and see how we work in society and try to find out an answer for things that we actually happen to us and trying to bring solution for that. And English is my first love. I used to call it the professional level.
Yeah.
And psychology is the second because, I had to find out a way to explore more than English. So I find out psychology and I try to create both, to bridge both science in order to, extract something positive and help people, in general, when it comes to English and psychology. Yes, I'm a married man and I have two daughters.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's basically.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I like to
great.
write. This is something I have
You
to
love
mention.
it.
I like to write so much because I think it's one of my best moments because I can actually pin what actually is happening and I can find relief in writing. And so I
What have you been writing, guys? I'm curious.
me, I write almost everything, like from personal conquest, from new ideas, from exploring new concepts. If I have a conversation with a person that he mentions something good or explains something differently, I try to explore the intentions behind it. It's pretty much a self of introspection, but also self-exploration, I like it. But it's all about English, history, psychology, society, but name it, it's based on everything. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Wow.
And you, my man,
That's a
please
beautiful-
introduce yourself to our
beautiful
audience. Beautiful
presentation.
Yeah, beautiful presentation. I agree
Wow.
with you.
So,
Yes.
so JohN Botelho is my name.
Okay.
I'm from Angola. My parents from Angola, actually. I'm married. I'm an English teacher, trainer, and also translator. I've been teaching for about 10 years, if I'm not
10
mistaken.
years.
Yeah, for 10 years.
Wow.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Long time.
It's a long time.
man.
It's a long time. So, well, I've been delivered lecturer because I'm also a lecturer. I
Okay.
teach at Oprah University, and I've been conducted seminars, workshops, and also helping people developing their English. Okay, in terms of ESP and even general English, I help them all. So perhaps people they are asking why JohN if it's Angola. I think Kanza
Yeah.
might be wondering why you
JohN?
called
Why
JohN.
JohN? Nicolau is right
Yeah.
there. Yes, his own name, Angolan name,
Yeah,
Portuguese
JohN.
name, and you, why JohN?
JohN, actually, I have been explaining why I'm called JohN.
Yeah.
I'm JohN before I even could be able to speak in English. Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, my parents they don't call me John. They call me JohN.
JohN.
JohN. The whole family they call me JohN. They
Wow,
don't call
it's
John.
Strange.
John was sort of typo when my parents went to register.
Okay.
Yeah, they instead of they writing G-O-N-E, they wrote with H, John, as in a way which
You're
is
like
spelled
guy,
in English.
man.
So
While people are trying to change their names, you got it from the beginning.
yeah, but let me tell you that I didn't like English at all before,
Okay.
but I think we will unveil how I really dive into English
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This is the next question.
because
for
there is
you.
something connected.
Yeah, for you
with my
guys.
name.
How did you get into English? How did you start your journey with the English language?
Well,
Yeah.
started with me. But when you invite me to come here, I was trying to conceptualize my experience with English better because it's too long and with
Yeah.
too many details.
Try to
Yeah.
summarize that
Yeah.
because you have two guys
but,
here.
but what I can mention with my relationship with English have to do with some factor like a personal factor,
Mhm.
social factor. I think these two are the two most important things that influence my dedication to English. But to make it historical is that I grew up in the middle of people that speak English. Like all my friends, they
Oh.
back on 2008 or 9, all my closest friends they speak English, and so we always hang out together. Having interaction in Portuguese, talking, and having a daily conversation as friends. But they knew how to speak English, and I was almost the only one that I could not speak. But due to the music, culture influence,
You like music?
music, yeah. This is something now that I don't speak with a lot of pride, a little bit shameful for me. But yeah, American music, this is something that we were consuming so much before. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to mention the singers, it's just
That you
not
do
make publicity.
follow?
Yes, but I was following this guy very closely. And I was watching his video, interview, music, even dressing the same.
Wow.
Yes, and
You
so
don't look like a
yeah.
guy who did this. this
no,
kind of
that's for
thing.
sure. I did, and this is I'm not very, but I'm going to explain later. Yeah, I was following this guy, the music, the scenes, the dress. I was streaming videos of him and listen what he's saying and try to repeat that.
Yeah.
And I really gained a lot from this. And my first dictionary was offered by my close friend. He's a universal dictionary. He said, I'm going to offer you that. And I was exploring that dictionary so much. And so, as I said, social influence was on the base because all my friends, speak English before. And then the personal level have to do with my inclination to be like those guys that I was listening. Like this, there is a part of me that wanted to be like them. And yeah, it's influenced so much. And maybe this is why today I created mid-language to help people learn English
Mm-hmm.
based on this that I passed. Because I have the idea of what is it to be learning by yourself, how you connect with something without, help directly.
Yeah.
And yes, so I start listening to music and dressing and trying to be like and
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And then, like we were speaking before, my English was very, we call informal, like very little
Yeah.
bit gangster, and
It's like black English.
that's what we call.
Yeah.
But there's a guy, he called me and said, look, when you speak, people like to listen, but you have to work on something. This English that you're taking, you're gonna end up short, because if you want to find like job or meet different guy, you have to act differently.
Wow.
Maybe because I was humble at the time, I decided to listen to this guy. And after years, a guy showed me a TV series, Suit. Yeah, he said, "Look,
Yeah, sweet.
I'm watching a series. I think there's a lot of things they do is similar to you. I want you to watch this series."
Yeah.
Like 2013. From that time until now, I've never, gave up from that series because
Sweet.
Suit,
I
yeah.
think I'm gonna
It's
search it.
SUET.
I've
And I also
always heard
I
about
made a
it.
video on my channel about this. I was watching the video, and the guys it's a corporate environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lawyer, and then they think
Mhm.
very
Yes,
fast, and
yes, yes, yes.
and he said they look just like you. When I pick up the video, the series, start watching that, I start changing my style. I start getting more into grammar, into reading formal information like finance, like law, and
Yeah. Wow.
my
Wow.
English was taking a different path.
It was a game change for
It
sure.
was a game change because first you have to deal with the ego, like you're not going to compete no more,
Yeah.
but you have to bring new versions of you. And so, put long story short, this video changed me to come to this way. So simply put, is that my relationship with English have to do with social influence and a personal dedication,
Wow.
which is a little bit of a cultural interference, which I don't like so much, but
But why do you
Yeah.
think that?
I don't like it because what I know now makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable with what I went through. Like, try to be like someone is the gross things you can do, But I understand you. I was at my late 18s and 20s,
Yeah,
and
it's a
there is
process.
this need to be like someone. But
Yeah.
but I also expressed some good positive things about it, which is I had the idea to enter into American culture, and and now I learn English, even though I don't look at this at the same way like today.
Yeah.
But it's something I have to accept. It's a flow on my process, but it somehow helped me to get what I'm doing now.
Wow,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Thank you, man.
Very interesting process, bro. Very
Yeah.
interesting journey. And you, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. JohN Botelho.
Well-
The John who was John before speaking English.
Yeah. Yes.
Before speaking
Wow.
English.
So, how was your journey with English?
Well, my journey is a bit different from Nicolau's journey, actually. Well, I was compelled to study English because, in my entire, I would say, I don't know if I can call youth or even teenager, I loved French.
French.
Yeah, French.
Okay.
And
did you speak something?
Something
Something.
basic.
Okay.
When I was doing my high school, I think it was 11th grade.
Yeah.
Actually, I had seen French from 7th
From
grade
7th.
until 10th grade.
Yeah.
But when we went to 11th grade, they changed the class, and I began to have English,
Oh
and
my
that was very
God.
terrible for me. And,
Because you loved French.
yeah, because I loved French. I didn't know anything about English at all.
parle
Yeah,
français.
actually. And I was
why I changed
type of a student who used to teach, classmates when it comes to test is, and now to begin seeing English was like very difficult for me, and I had to enter a course.
Okay.
Yeah, and I met a guy, a friend of mine called Sombra.
Sombra.
Yeah, his nickname Sombra, Shadow.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But was it in English or in Portuguese? His name.
his name, he called himself Shadow, Mr. Shadow.
Mr. Shadow. I don't know. I don't know
Shadow.
why you're English guy.
Yeah, that time he used to be the king of Django in terms of English. And,
Okay.
in the place where I used to live, and he took me to learning school, which is a professional English center. It's located at Rocha Pinto,
Yeah.
and I began studying English. I think in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, and I just was doing English just for passing the test, because I wanted.
Yeah.
I never
You
resolved
wanna
that
make it
problem.
through and then-
Yeah, I began studying English there. I didn't used to like English at all, but I was not very, I was not very interested in learning English or being fluent in English until the day that we received guests from different schools that they came for challenging.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
powerful story.
For challenging.
I've
and,
heard that before.
You have.
well, I look at that, man, these guys, they're from different, they came here and they say that we are nobody and we're weak, we don't speak in English, and sort of a sword begins to come into my heart that now you need to learn English properly so as to show that...
To fight back.
Yeah, to fight back. And, and I began to study English. We had a group.
Yeah.
The group was composed by four, Januário, Alex, I think myself and Zangad, if I'm not mistaken. We were four. And we began to study English hardly. And the outcome at school was also different. When I began to get English addiction, because I was so addicted to English,
Yeah.
even at school I was not feel like writing Portuguese.
Oh,
I used to
my
write
God.
in English.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my mates look at at me and just look at the
What are you
notebook. What you doing? This is English. I say, yeah, I don't feel pleasure writing Portuguese anymore.
My
And
gosh.
when we went to 12th grade, they changed again.
My God. Again, French.
French.
Oh, my
I said, no, I'm
man.
not stopping because now the English is in a vessel. I cannot, in my vein, and I cannot stopping anymore.
Yeah.
And I began to study English hardly until the day that when those one that came to the place I was studying English, they came and I said, my teacher is not here, but I can welcome you. And we were discussing different topics. And they said, wow, you're good. What's your level? I said, yeah, I'm an elementary student and I can talk to you openly.
That's for sure.
To show that here we have a great student, a great English speakers. But what's really striking me is that time people, they were so interested in American English. And Ebonic English was spoken by the majority of people from Kakwaku, Kazenga, and other places. And I wanted to be different than most of the people. And I began to watch BBC World News, and I wanted to have a different register. A register when you step into a certain places that they look at you when you're speaking. Wow, what's this guy? You've ever been abroad? And I studied hard that time.
Yeah.
And I got what I wanted before. And so after I was invited to be a teacher, an English teacher at a learning school. I taught English there for about, I think, 6 or 5 years. And after I decided to graduate myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I enrolled myself at Oxford University. I got it. I got 14, the highest mark at that time. I remember as my classmates, they were looking, who's this guy? How he got 14? Maybe he has someone here in the university. Yeah, but when we began to studying, they could actually having the feeling that this is the guy, the mark he got. Yeah, he deserved it. This guy is really good at English, and that. After that, I graduated myself. When I finished, I enrolled myself for the master program, and I did it.
Wow.
And so I've been teaching English for, as I said, for more than 10 years. Private companies, even the public
Yes.
companies.
Wow.
So about English, it's a long path.
Guys, I know that you
Lot of
you
things.
both have experience. You have experience in both academic and corporate
Exactly.
environment. And the remaining question is: at what moment of your life did you realize that English was more than just a subject, than just a school subject, that it could bring to you real opportunities? At what times of your life did you realize that? And how did you I have to work so that I can be helping to these opportunities that English can bring?
My personal experience is it's hard to actually identify what was the right moment to do so. But one thing that helped me is people feedback.
Okay.
Through JohN, I met different guys, and during the conversation, you start seeing how people understand. They understand you and what they say about you. I think this feedback that I have from people allow me to see or to identify what are my proper skills in English. And one of them was, most of them were saying that I speak very clearly and my ideas flow very naturally, and
Yeah.
I almost had something to say that is different. And I was trying to sense that. But why do they say that? What do I do that makes me sound like that? Then I start realizing that I read too much, and I like to spend too much time exploring things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was realizing that maybe this is something that someone is looking for. And based on my experience, the way I learned English, it's a conjunction of things like my experience and my habits.
Okay.
And then I also saw the market, like we all do the same thing, like we all teachers, verb to be, to have, and all that.
Yeah.
And when I start studying psychology, this is where things start changing. Like in the class, we were learning about psychology of learning and the behave, mind, potential, and I start sensing this information, and I start to find a way to breach with English. That I was like, okay, we're studying about how learning happens, how the brain reacts when we are learning this and that, and I start diving more into English. Books about learning, language, communication, and all that. And I start realizing that I should bring something different from people, or to people that we're not doing yet. And one of the idea that I had first is to remember what I had at U.S. Embassy back then in 2013 when I enrolled at U.S. Embassy webinar courses.
Okay.
And there was a guy he gave us a lesson that I never forgot. He said, I'm going to show you an image. And you have to explain the other guy what you are seeing without he see the image. Like there's a guy playing football in image, right? I'm explaining you what I'm seeing on the image to you, and you start drawing. So the level of the clearness of my explanation would determine how your draw is going to get closer to the real image. I've never forget that. And when I start deciding what I want to do with English, this is one of the first images that came to my mind. So I created the room, which is, the idea was not to study English like verb to be or verb to have, but it's to explore people's ideas in English.
Okay.
Because basically, I receive a lot of feedback of, I know English, I understand, but I cannot speak.
Yeah.
And I start diving
That's
into
common.
this, why it happens to people. And I find out that there is a level of language in our mind. So there is a stages. Mm-hmm. Until you pronounce the word, there is hundreds of stages behind that, psychologically. And I was trying to explore how we get to the final stage where you have to say, I am good or I'm fine. What does it take before we get there? And I realized that language is not just word, it's emotions, is imagination, is connection.
Yeah.
And then I start creating things to bring that to people and tell them, look, what you find out to be your difficulty, maybe it's not. Maybe your perception is a little bit distorted about language. For example, we all want to speak like Americans or British.
Yeah.
And it creates a little bit of a bargain to people who's learning now, because you want to jump from 0 to 10. You want to start from verb to be like America. And this is a great responsibility. You're never going to jump from 0 to 10. So I was coming in between and say, look, what is missing from 0 to 10 is this, is your understanding about the language, is how you see the language. Is how powerful you see language. Because if you see English like the ultimate things in the world, like the most powerful thing, it can block your understanding or your learning process because you're dealing with something huge. It's like imagine something as a monster. You cannot sense that, and you're frightened with that. So with my project, I try to help people reduce the exaggerated version of English and bring them into an angle where they feel like this is just one of other things I can learn. For example, now I am helping people to bridge potential. Like, you're good in Excel, right? But you don't speak English. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Find out your skills, find out your potential in Excel. Try to bring an angle where you can put English into it. Like, start watching video about Excels in English. You don't need to understand it, just watch that. Because there will be a point where you're going to feel comfortable because you already dominate Excel. And if you go to a different language, your brain knows that where we are going, it's something that we know. It's not unknown. It's
interesting things.
You see, interesting things.
Yeah.
That's it. You start bridging English into Excel into English.
Wow.
And that's where I find out that it's time to go into a more corporate level. Because you're going to find people into companies that they have a responsibility, but they don't speak English.
Wow.
But it's not lack of skills. Maybe his agenda is too tight, or his ambition is deregulated. Like, maybe he just sounds like speaking is because he's a boss, not because he want it. So you have to start correcting people on this mindset about English because it interferes in everything. Just going short, one woman called me one day and said, "I want to learn English, but I'm going to have a promotion and I had to learn." I said, "Look, I can't help you on that.
Yeah.
I can't, because first of all, your mindset is not oriented to learning, it's oriented to progress.
Under pressure.
You see?
Yes.
If you want to really help me, if you really want me to help you, we have to, before going to a conversation where I understand your intentions and why you want to do that, how you want to do that, what is your patience level for that? Because I cannot promise you that I'm going to take you to 0 to 10 without knowing what actually you're thinking." So this understanding of psychology, putting things short, is what allowed me to see, oh, this is the right time to go into corporate and stop doing, what everybody do. Yeah. So I understood a difficulty into the market, especially for those who already spoke English and stopped speaking because of the dynamic. And I work especially with these guys. And with the help of psychology and the explorations of knowledge, I try to bring that into this corporate level. And so this was the turning point into my English career when I learned psychology and divert the angle into this.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you, John, how did that happen with you?
Well, wow, this is a $1 million question.
Give it to me.
Well, as I said before, I always wanted to be different amongst the English speakers. I didn't want only just speaking by speaking. Okay, I wanted to convey message. And to the time I came across with the concept of the process of acquiring new knowledge. And to this process we have 4 methodology of acquiring new knowledge. The first is authoritative method.
Okay.
The second is mystical method.
Wow.
The third is empirical method. And the last is rational method.
My God.
Let's break down.
Yeah, it's better.
About
Break it down.
authoritative method. Means that you all knowing. Means that whatever you say becomes a rule. I didn't want to be the guy who says, okay, this is this and that's all. I wanted to be questioning. Why do you say this, John? Why the things are like that? And we have people actually, they think that they're all-knowing. Whatever they say, it's correct. They're not refutable. And this is not true. When you're teaching students through this type of method, means that you say that you can't learning with a student. And then we have learning process. We also learn with a student. Okay, and we have to get rid of this type of methodology. The second is mystical knowledge, means that it's based on faith, beliefs, superstition, means that this is what I believe, this is my faith, means that it will work with you. If I spend days praying for having a very clear accent, it may not work with you. I cannot take my own experiences thinking that it will be applied for everybody. Because in the process of learning, we have a different types of learners, and we have to take into account. And the third method, which is empirical, means that you are not based on anything. You just say what you're hearing. Okay? You're hearing one word, and you go to the company and you begin to use it. And when a person asks you, why do you use this word, you don't know how to explain. Anyone can come and say, okay, John, this is not correct. This is mistake. And as you don't have a base to defend your thesis, you say, okay. And you begin to have a discussion with him, thinking that you're correct and not be able to prove. And the last one is rational knowledge, means that you have to think, rationalize what a person is saying, or when you're teaching. Is this method is good for the student? This is the right method I have to use? But rational knowledge, or rational method, and empirical method, these both form the scientific method. Because the science is based on experiment. You need to see first, to hearing, what you're hearing, and to rationalize. What Kanza said, is that okay? Let's I go and consulting books to see if that's okay. I'm not going to be limited to what you're saying, but I'll go and check in book to see if that makes match. And it's very important to know all these types of methodology. And when I go to companies teaching English, I take it as a lesson given. And this makes me different amongst a lot of teachers, okay? Because remember, you might have a command of English, but there's someone there that has command in certain aspect of science. And sometimes you enter in a topic which you are not capable of to go deeper. Yeah. And your student knows, he knows that. And sometimes you say, teacher, this is not correct. This is if you don't know the student's profile, behavioral profile, because we have a different behavioral profile. We have students who are, I would say, influence, some are stable, some are conform. Normally student who are conform, he is a critique by nature. Means that whatever thing teacher says, we open dictionary to see if that's okay, if it's in there. If it's not, say, teacher, I'm not finding it. Where did you find it, teacher? Teacher, you pronounce this is not correct. Normally conform student, they behave like this. And if you know the student profile behavior, you'll be able to approach the student in a real way. What happens is the student correct the teacher, this type of student, teacher feel uncomfortable and begin to have a challenge, want to prove that he's correct. And then he will go into the realm of authoritative method. Okay, I'm the boss, I'm the teacher. Whatever I say is not supposed to be questioning, it's right. Okay, and people, they begin to say, well, John, you're different. Okay, and it's not all about English, okay, but about this type of concept, how you approach, okay, each student. It's very important. And one thing I always tell students, why I think we all have been hearing this saying, don't speak without thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay, when a person says that, when people say don't speak without thinking, we can go into the concept of Lavelt, which is a scholar, who he explained the process of language, how we process speech process, or how we form this language. I believe that Nadu is hearing sounds.
Yes, I'm
hearing sounds.
Yes, I'm hearing sounds.
But Nadu probably doesn't know what's going on in my brain.
Yes, sure.
Okay, sure. You actually receiving a final product. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. As while you hearing Nicolau speaking and hearing the final product. Okay, he uttered the sounds.
For example,
but
I didn't expect you to talk about profile right now because it's a question that I would make later.
Later,
But
okay.
you already talking about profile.
But we go deeper after.
Yeah,
And later
yeah.
we can go deeper.
You see, I don't know what is coming on your mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
But look, when people say don't speak without thinking, they are telling you that there are process. The first process of conceptualization means that you have to have the inputs. You need to listen to audio or even any type of information which is relevant, by the way. And after listening to it, you're going to have a concept which is vocabulary, in the form of vocabularies. And after you have to come to the second step, which is formalization. Now you know adverbs, you know verbs, you know preposition, you know all those stuffs in terms of language. Now you need to come to formalization, which is combinations of the concept you have. Pronouns, plus, adverb, plus, all those stuffs. And then what you're going to do is forming, in the brain, all those you will begin to connect, the concept, and then when you begin to connect the sentence, the idea will begin to come, which is thought processing. And after this second step, you come to the third step, which is articulation process. Now you have the concept you formed, and then you need to bring it to a sound, which is in the field of phonetic and phonology. Okay? Yeah. Phonetic has to do with the articulation, how you articulate the sounds. And then when you bring this third step, which is articulation process, you need to come to the last one, which is the most important of all: monitoring what you said. Don't say by saying, you're just monitoring what you said, which is the last step. Monitoring, see if this is not correct. I need to restart again the process. Okay, something is missing. No, the combination with this word, it does not match with this. And then let me give one example. For example, if I tell you, Kanza, you need to drill. If you want to improve, you need to drill. And I say, Kanza did not understand.
Yeah.
I need to reformulate. I need to begin again the process. Okay, no, this concept drill. Okay, he doesn't understand. Okay, practice. Okay, I can. Okay, if you want to improve your English, you need to practice. And then all these 4 steps you need to take into account when you communicate with the people. And then all these aspects I apply when I teach it, when I go to company, in a job interview, all these stuffs. And I'm always succeed.
Okay. Surely it helps you to get real opportunities
helps.
with English.
It helps.
But guys, the question that I think that we have to dive right now is, we know that English itself is not enough in the job environment. What other skills do you think are needed, are essential for someone who is learning English for professional purpose? What are the skills someone needs to learn to be successful when looking for a job? Because everybody say you have to speak English, but most of the people, they don't know if they need another skill or with the English is enough, they can be successful.
I think we were discussing that before we went live. Is that what I have to say, that people have first to identify what he wants to be. Like, the idea of speaking English and become a teacher is somehow default. Everybody thinks that just because you speak, you have to be a teacher.
Yes.
And it ends up to be the only way, the first most self-evident way to become.
To be a
he's a teacher.
Yeah.
He's speaking English, has to be a teacher. I understand the dynamics because most of the people that speak English, they ended up being a teacher. I think it's collective. So there is nothing outside of that. Yeah. And so when you start speaking, your first references will be those that spoke before, and you're going to do it. Yeah. And these things complicate the process because most of people, they do because of the collective mindset, but they want something different. And going up to your question, what people need to understand first is what he wants to be. Like with English, you want to be a translator, you want to be an interpreter, you want to be a teacher. what do you want to be? You want to create a new forms of exploration with English? You have to answer this question to you. Maybe, for example, I do not identify with teaching anymore. Like teaching like a board, and I do not do it. This is why mid-language is more of, I tell people what I do. I tell them, I'm not going to teach you English like you expect. I'm going to help you to unblock your concept, mentorship of English, and then you can go in the center and learn it. I'm okay with that.
Wow.
Just 1 day or 2 days a week, come over with me and let's have a conversation about, for example, you spoke about verb to be yesterday. Yeah. You didn't sense how you're going to use that. I'm going to give you the concept of it and how your brain needs to operate into this subject in order to apply into real life. This is what I'm going to give you. And so going up to your question, what people need to understand, as I said, is what he wants. And then pick up those skills that you already know in Portuguese and try to channel in English. I'm going to give an example. You speak English and you are good at mathematics or computing, for example.
Yeah.
If you sell English only, you may have a lot of a competition because a lot of people speak.
Yeah.
So if you're good at computing, try to channel your English into IT or computing, because maybe if you're going to apply for a job, people know that you speak English and you're good at IT. It's two different things. Yeah. Now, if you're just good at English, it's a little bit vague, because if you only know English, probably the way you're going to use your English is not very clear, especially as you're growing professionally. For example, you're no longer looking for a job to have money. You're looking for a job to grow. If you're looking for a job to grow, you have to learn how to channel your English with your abilities. If you're good into accounting or finance, try to channel English into finance or accountability, because this is how you're going to sell more potential to you. Like, you know how to explain accountability or finance in Portuguese, but you also know how to do that in English. Because speaking, everybody can do it, but can you handle a meeting, for example? Can you handle an interview? Can you handle a conversation with your boss? It's a whole different level. And then, in order to guarantee that you're profiting with your English and you take you somewhere, you have to associate with some other skills, not just English. If it's only English, you ended up being a teacher and explaining everything about verb to be, verb to have, like we do. But if you want to actually jump out the circle and be outstanding, you have to associate with something else that you're good. I think it's profitable to me to associate with something that you're good at in Portuguese. People don't understand that. When you're good at something in Portuguese, it's easy to dominate in English because you already have the comfort of this potential on your own language. Okay. This is why when you enter into a center, the first thing you learn is good morning. Yeah. Everybody knows that. What is your name? Because we do it in Portuguese very frequently. And so in this metric, if you extend this metric, it happens in every angle. Like, before I started psychology in English, I was studying in Portuguese. Okay. And my intention to be a good psychologist allowed me to channel this potential into English more easily. And now, I only watch psychology in English. I read books of psychology in English, not in Portuguese. Not because I don't like Portuguese, but there's something people have to understand. You're never going to forget Portuguese, especially if you still live in our country. Yeah. Because all your environment is based on Portuguese. We speak English with our eyes. Even if you don't speak, your eyes knows that you are rationalizing Portuguese. Yeah. So don't worry about it. It's never going to forget it. Yeah. And so this exercise I do is just to increase more value. So again, going up to your question, if you speak English and you think that you want to upgrade, your potential or your value, try to find out something that you're good at in Portuguese, that you do good. This is why we always having conversations like explaining how to use verb to be and verb to have. We all can do it, because on YouTube you can find tons of video people explain that. But our reality is different because we are in a country that speaks Portuguese. So English for us is a potential, is a competence. We have to understand that you don't speak English just for pleasure. English is like a skill. It's like using computer or using a printer. Yeah. This is a skill to us. So you cannot just stop into speaking. You have to increase something valuable to this in order to become like a potential to you and make you visible into any opportunity. So anybody out there that is listening that speaks English and you want to get to the next level, it's not a motivational speech. This is real, because you're going to find that everybody speak English, but not everybody can handle it. Because you said before, in the work environment,
Yeah.
it's not about how you speak like American British. It's
That's-
how you
that's
can
it,
handle
yeah.
the problem. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that you sound like whatever the guys on the
The
movie.
guys.
No.
Lil Wayne,
You see?
or something like that.
Can you translate the meeting? Can you translate the document? Can you
Yeah,
take us to the?
yeah.
This is what really count, because it's not about how you look
Yeah.
when you go into corporate environment. Like your English just sounds more like in a movie. No, this is good because people watch movie and they try to match you with the movie. It's okay, but the bigger picture is not that. It's how you can solve the problem, and this is what really counts. So that's what we
Guys,
say.
you are in a tech company.
Yeah.
Could you share the same thing that I was talking about, like other skills that are important? And I think that being in a tech company, you have been watching, seeing people having opportunities or losing opportunities just because of other skills needed in this environment. What is your approach?
Yeah, for sure. So, I don't want to be repetitive.
Yeah.
Nicolau has spoken.
If you have real
Other
life
things actually.
examples, you can share.
But
real
let
life
me tell you, I
examples.
want to just increase to what Nicolau has said. It's very important to know that you need to know what's a hard skill and what's soft skill.
Very good.
And what I have actually been seeing that there are people that they don't know the differences between
Yeah, you gotta
hard
talk
skills
right now the difference
and
between hard
and
skills.
soft skills.
Yes.
Hard skill I'm gonna give you. I know we do have beginner students watching at
Yes,
upper
we
level.
do
I'm
have.
not gonna go too technical, but hard skill we talk about. For example, let's say you enroll yourself for Excel training, PowerPoint training, electricity. Okay, all these are called hard skill. You need to have these hard skill. You need to make this training.
Yeah, product
And soft skill, I'm gonna give you two examples. For example, you need to have a leadership training.
Leadership, yes.
communication.
Communication.
Assertive
teamwork.
communication, teamworking, it's very important to you to master. English as a whole, it's not enough. It is not enough. Today we're talking about AI, artificial
Yes,
intelligence,
yes.
which is very important to mention here. It is very important that a teacher or a trainer have to be able to understand a little bit of AI
In English.
in
In
English.
English.
If you
Yeah.
speak English.
Okay,
Because
if
that's
you
the-
speak
the
English.
conversation.
Because nowadays, if I want, I would say a summary of lesson of verb to be, I go to AI and I write, he will give me all the explanation. And if I go to a professional school or professional center and I have all that, I have AI, and I don't expecting the teacher reproduce what is written. I want teacher explain, make me understand how I can apply
Yeah.
verb to be
Applicability
in real
is
life.
Yeah.
It's very important to know this. Let me tell you, at IT company where I work now, I worked at for 2 years at HR department. I conducted some English interview. I sort of helped my coworkers because when we have interviews, when it comes to assess the level of English, they always call me to help them. And let me tell you that there are many people that they fail. Yeah,
But they were confident
Yeah.
to be a good speaker.
Yeah, to be a good
Yeah.
speaker, but they fail.
They failed it.
they fail. They fail because they do not understand that even English, which is a language, it is within the soft skill domain.
Yeah.
Means I will quote Steven Pinker, who is a scholar in the field of Nicolau,
Okay.
Psychology.
psychologist. He defines language as a behavior.
Yeah.
If if he defines language as a behavior, means that you have to know how to conduct it properly when you're teaching, when you are at, I would say, business acting,
Yeah.
you cannot conducting yourself in the way you're conducting with your friend in the street. That's a professional acting. You need to know how you will approach, okay, the employees. It's very important to know how you will communicate. How you will communicate is very important. To whom are you addressing?
No.
Okay, the third, I would say that here in this case, business English is very important.
But we've had a training. You give it.
Yeah,
you gave
I also
training
give
about
training on
About
business English.
Yeah.
Maybe you can dive after
Because
a bit
the
about
simple
business
definition
English.
of a business English is business English is a type of English which is used in a specific context, such as oil and gas, finance, let's say teaching, and so on and so forth. And it entails a particular vocabulary. Even the grammar structure is different. And then you have to know how you're going to use have to, because the have to has a different application. If you do not know how to use have to, according to different application, you can you can miss the point and address in rude manner with to your boss.
But John, I have to jump on this.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We have to make a clear distinction here.
Yeah.
I don't like when we speak English like mathematics. Like John said, languages behave. It's not mathematics. It's not science.
Yes,
We brought English at the science level because we have to segment information. But naturally, language is not science. Languages behave. Because if we all here stop speaking Portuguese or English, we're going to find out a different way to communicate. It's not because science exists. It's because we are humans and we need to address the reality.
Yeah.
And so when we say languages behave and we have to say how you have to approach people based on environment, don't think that at scientific level. Even in Portuguese, it's the same. If you're looking for a job in Portuguese and the company doesn't speak English, only Portuguese, you have to know how to deal with people at different level. And so it's not different than English. We have to stop looking at, when it comes to English, it's a whole different world. No, it's the same thing. What Johnny says, like, you'll behave just as you adjust in Portuguese, have to be the same in English. In Portuguese, how you decide to talk to your boss is based on your level of communication, understanding, and personal traits. You have to know that in English as well. It's not you're just changing environment. It's I cannot teach you to be have a good behavior in Portuguese, and you expect me to teach in English. That's the same thing, Even the words.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. You have to know.
Transfer.
That's the same. You have to read books that allows your English to go into a way that you know that I'm speaking a informal conversation. I'm in a business environment. I am. You have to have this concept of where you are, and this is not English. This is behave. Again, it's behavioral. It's not English. It's not something exclusive to English. It's something exclusive to communication and socialization. You have to know that. It's important to distinguish.
That's actually true. Now, what actually people they miss the point is that we need to learn different registers. Register, for example, okay, here it's a casual conversation and we're speaking. But if you are invited to, I would say, to work in different certain place, like let's say business environment, then you have to address people. You have to master the register which you use in a business acting. Okay, it's very important for you to do so.
And how can people develop these?
Nicolau has said before, you need to read books. We talk about assertive communication.
Okay.
Read books about public speaking. It's very important to read this type of books. And also, you need to read books which talks about behavior profile. Because, for example, Nicolau is influent. Nicolau is very spontaneous when it comes to speaking.
Yes.
And this type of person or this type of people, by nature, they are a public speaking.
Yeah.
They love speaking. they don't have a problem of public speaking.
Yeah.
And then what they need to learn is the register. Okay. As Nicolau said, Nicolau doesn't like too much about as a mathematical aspect. That I would say the formality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to conduct in a formal way,
Okay.
according to the concept of business English. Although in a business English we also have certain slangs, certain informality,
And people
but
worry about the informality.
yeah,
most
but
of
the
time.
informality
It is not.
appropriate for the environment,
Yes.
which can be technical.
Okay.
Okay, it is very important to know. As we're speaking about English, because your audience
skills and
majority
soft
they
skills, yeah.
they speak English. That's why we sort of narrow,
Yeah.
okay, in terms of English domain, so for the reason. But it can be applied to every field.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about English, as I said before, it's a behavior, as Pinker says. We can't forget that it is in the domain of humanity.
Yeah. It's not
Some
science,
they
it's
talk
humanity.
about arts.
Art.
Okay, language. Arts.
Language is
or
like
in-
art.
in-
It's
in
close
the
to
realm
art
of,
and music and
of
it's the
humanity.
same.
And you as a human, you need to understand yourself.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, and then before you communicating to your I would say your neighbor, you should first have inner conversation.
How to articulate, yeah.
Yeah, inner conversation. It is very important. People, they will say, "Why, John? Wow, how come I will have this inner conversation? Everything is here
Now, you
into
were
the
talking
brain."
about people, about the interviews that you have been conducting, and most of the people, they don't succeed. Can you share with people why they don't succeed?
Yeah,
They normally think that I'm good at English, I'm going there and I will succeed, and then they don't.
yeah. I work at IT companies, as you have announced before.
An IT company,
Yeah, IT company.
technology
And,
company, okay, guys?
As you
Yeah.
know, IT normally we
Yeah.
recruit the engineers,
Yeah.
okay, programmers and sort of technicians, and most of them, in terms of hard skill, in Portuguese, they know they can explain how the process, how is the process, what's the problem. They can give us a solution in Portuguese, but as you know, we have multinational companies. We have expatriate who does not speak Portuguese, and most of the time they are in these companies. And as you know, English is not only a business language, but also international language, as some they call so as a global language. And you need the English to communicate. In this case, that English will be used as a lingua franca, okay, a language which will unite people from different countries who speak different languages,
Yeah.
which has happened. And if your boss is from India and he doesn't speak Portuguese, and he needs an engineer, a program, build softwares, he expected that this person who is coming must have the sound base of ESP in that field of IT. What happened is most of these, I would say, applicants, when they come to the job interview, they lack ESP. They can have that simple conversation, but if you tell him, can you tell me what you do, what's your task, what's your job description, can you explain in English? Most of them, they have problem, but this problem does not only come due to the I would say interesting of searching, but also some of schools, they don't provide these ESP, this technical English.
Okay.
At university, at level university, you can see students, new freshers, they've graduated recently. They have a problem when it comes to ESP. We're supposed that at university level that they master ESP. If I'm doing accounting, and I finished, I'm graduated, it's supposed that I have to have the dominion, a little dominion of the terminology used in that field. What happens is that you go to university, you find students having verb to be. You find them having verb to be. And when they come to the job interview, they fail because they are not able to communicate in a technical way.
Yeah.
And it make them sometimes, fail, because the person who is the software is written in English,
Yeah.
and then your boss speaks English. The partners, they are international. Sometimes you'll be participating in job meetings, and you'll be asked to give your thoughts, and then you have to be able to give your thoughts in a technical aspect.
And John, I'm sorry. I
It's
think,
very important
I think
to-
most of the fail have also to do with the concept of how people see the language. For example, in Portuguese, are we assuming that just because you speak Portuguese?
No, Nicolau, I'm sorry. It's not because of how people. I tell because
No.
we've been receiving people who graduated in USA.
Uh-huh.
Okay, USA, England, South Africa.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you
Yeah,
on that.
sometimes lack. I don't know if I call interest of studying ESP. Okay, he graduated in South Africa, Namibia, whatever, but he has a problem. He's not able to.
But it happens in
to-
Portuguese. It happens in Portuguese as well.
As well.
The best parallel we can create is in Portuguese. If someone studied at Oscar Ribas or Siege, whatever university he studied, he studied, for example, accountant. Just because he speak Portuguese doesn't mean he can. If he doesn't dive deep into the science, he can explain accountability, and we
But
know that.
it's easier. It's easier for a person who studied Portuguese.
No, but let me
If he
get.
goes to Portuguese interview,
Uh-huh.
I believe this person has, I think, a huge percentage of success
I understand
in
what-
terms of ESP, because that's his first
But
language.
John, but that's the problem. The technical level, it requires work. It's not just
Exactly.
because you've been participating in a Portuguese interview as well, and you know that he mentioned that I study accounting or finance, but you can see how he articulates about finance. It's not very properly close to what you would expect a person that would have speak. But what I'm saying is that at the technical level, it's not just about knowing the language in general. You have to
Exactly.
narrow your communication into what you are talking. For example, you are hiring an IT guy. The IT guy have to know that you're good at IT. I am expecting as your boss, you explaining me IT in English as well. Like if I'm going to an interview, I have to work my homework. I have to do my homework. Like, how do I explain my skills in English? And I think this is one question that everyone that speaks English have to know if he's looking for a job. How am I able to explain my skills in English? Not just in general, like, no, my skills. Like when they ask me, what are you good at? Am I able to explain my skill in order to make him understand? It's not just like how I like to see myself speaking. Like the other side is going to understand my skills the way I'm explaining. So going up with you, I agree. It's like the technical level, independently if you study outside or inside, it requires individual work. Like you have to go deep into finance, into IT, reading so you can get the words. Because if you change the interview, say like explain us in a Portuguese, he's going to be able to explain. But if you go back in English, he's going to be lost because his skills is not matched in English because he lacks the words that
Let me give you an
properly.
example. Maybe it can help you
Yeah.
give more contribution. I was in China,
Yeah,
and once I was in a training, in an
Yeah.
IT training.
Yeah.
I'm not an IT guy.
Yeah.
I was there with IT guys, and fortunately, the training was being translated into Portuguese.
Yeah.
It was English, Chinese, Portuguese, and English is the technical language. And when they used to give examples in English, like Japan and other things of other IT things,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand nothing.
yeah,
My colleagues, they couldn't speak English, but they did understand the technical terms in English.
you see,
They couldn't explain that in English, but they could explain in Portuguese.
you see,
Yes, that what was happened. And I was in the United States of America. It was also an IT training. Guys, I was feeling myself lost most of the time. I
see?
could speak English,
Yeah.
but when they started speaking about IT, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, I need
Yeah.
to dive into that. I need
To
to
dive in.
start. I need to go back and start a little bit IT so that I can understand what they explain, because I'm feeling that my English is lost. Sometimes I can understand things, but when they go deep in technical things.
Because maybe your English
Yeah.
that is a little bit vague when it comes to technical level.
Technical,
levels,
yeah.
yeah.
And what they're saying is specific. It's like it's
Specific.
something
Yeah.
marked into one angle. And
Yeah.
when you know general English, like you cannot be point out in one angle without changing. You feel lost. This is why we're saying it's important to diversify your knowledge and reading different things, because when he's explaining about IT, your brain is making different connection about information that you read. But if you don't read almost anything, you're going to have a hard time to connect informations, because your brain will see everything as unknown, is strange, is new, and that's what is confusing.
But
And so
now
that's
there's no problem. You feel
a
comfortable,
bit
but
lost.
not- a bit lost.
Yeah,
That's-
And then
I
if
came
you
back
go
and
to
I start-
a nurse, say meeting, you feel the same thing, and then you'll be always
it's
it's happening.
always like
It
this.
depends on the purpose. If you have a if you would like to work in an IT company,
Yes, you have to dive into
you have to dive
into
in.
it.
It's very specific.
Yeah, it's very specific. Unless you are
Yeah.
a translator or
Sure.
an
Yes,
interpreter, you need
translate-
to
you have a hard
to
work.
have a wide
Hard
idea.
work. It's
Wow.
very, very important.
Yeah, you have to.
Very important. Yeah.
Very good. So, what opportunities, or even here in Angola, are there for people who speak English? Guys, you are in your companies, maybe in your companies, job opportunities. What kind of opportunities right here in the world do we have for people who are learning English for this purpose? And what advice would you give to someone who is learning English for this purpose to get a job?
I think the opportunities are plenty, but we just need to assert the language of opportunity. Like if you go into a recruitment, like announcement, if you see what they're writing, it tells you something like, we are looking for IT guy. He needs to know this, and that. It's telling you that the guy I'm looking for must have this, and that.
Yeah.
And
But
if
they
it's,
just
They
you see, they just send it.
Yeah.
So if you want to maximize your chance to see opportunity, you have to maximize your understanding of how the recruitment occurs.
Yeah.
You see, like you're only studying, they're looking for IT guys, and one of the requirement is English, for example. Are you going to enroll just because you speak English? No, there's a lot of things you're going to like technical skills. And then you have to understand if English is a priority or secondary skills. This is important.
Very, very interesting. Let me give you another example.
Yeah.
I remember that years ago I was at, we have the big four companies.
Yeah.
I think it was Deloitte, yes.
Yeah,
It was
Deloitte,
there,
yeah.
their website.
Cap MJ.
Yes, I was there and I was in there. They were looking for, most of the job opportunities that I found, they were requiring English. But the areas like administration, IT, lawyers, and so on. And I look at that and said, it doesn't fit on my profile. Even though I can speak English, it doesn't
But
fit on my
this
profile.
is very realistic.
Yeah, I didn't apply for that.
Going up to question what the person that speaks English needs to do.
Yeah.
That's the answer. If you're looking for a job, you have to know that nobody's going to just recruit you just because you speak English.
Yes.
Even to be a driver, you have to have a driver license. Like a driver license, like you just have English, but you know how to drive. I cannot.
Yeah.
Literally, English just English is not enough.
Yeah.
Because
People, English is not enough.
you see, let me say, in 2013, I lost a job at BP. I think I've told you this story, right?
Okay.
I was looking for jobs with my sister at the downtown.
Yeah.
We were just like
Yeah.
giving up CVs and all that.
Yeah.
And I met the guy in a building. I think there's a building at the Kinashish. I have just to remember, but I'm gonna remember later. I met the guy in the door. I was like, I'm looking for a job and this and that. He said, I don't speak Portuguese. I speak English. So we start speaking English, and he loved that incredibly.
Yeah.
And he said, show me your CV. I was ready, and I took my CV and I gave to him. And he read that. He said, I like your English. You speak very well. And 2003, I'll never forget that, because maybe I would be.
Similar experience.
You see, and he said, look, come back at 2 p.m. I'm going to introduce you to my boss.
Yeah.
I would say, is that real? He said, this is real. Just BP
guys.
is what was for IT department.
Yes.
Man, I was like, this is my opportunity. That was my first job. I went home, I changed clothes, then
You came back.
I came back and I called him, look, I'm here outside the building. And he said, I'm coming. I was like, this guy's lying to me. But he gently, very generously came down and received me and get me into the building. And he showed me to his boss and said, look, this is the guy I met outside. He speaks very well. I want you to interview him. This is a true story. I've never forget that because it wasn't. Look, we sat on the table. He started making me questions like, "Tell me about yourself." He was like, "You speaking is amazing."
Yeah.
I have just. He said, "I just have one question. Do you have an IT knowledge?"
My God.
I said no. He said, "No, I like you so much, but we cannot go because our job is very practical. Like, if you wanna, we have to install conference meeting, microphones and computer. If you don't know that, it's gonna be,
My God.
you see." And we spoke about money that day. He said, "We're gonna pay you $1,500."
My God.
He wrote that on my CV with the
At
pencil.
that time,
At that time,
yeah.
man, look,
it was
I
money.
was talking to the real boss, and when he asked me the question, "Do you have an IT skills?" When I say no, everything went down. You see,
My God.
Yeah, but this is a true story to explain that.
Yeah.
When you just know English
I have a
specifically,
similar
No,
one.
no, this is this.
That's it.
Share it,
That's
bro.
the problem, actually.
Yeah.
So, Nicolau, in that case, it's if I think the no's, the simply no was not very.
Yeah.
I was a newcomer in the market.
but
I had no
understand.
idea.
Was
Yeah,
not a
that's
very,
the point.
Was not a
Personal
wise,
experience.
wise
Yeah.
answer, but I understand that time. I
Yeah.
think if this opportunity comes again,
I was
you're not
amazed.
going
That's the
to
BP. I was
give
like,
the same
Jesus.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not have any training about IT, but I'm good at. I master Excel. I have a project management course training, and then you're going to have to I will say, highlight your skills, other abilities, other hard skills that you have. It's IT, but I don't have these, but I have these. You have to offer, okay? I don't have these, but I have these skills. And he'll think, okay, you don't have IT, but I think you can work at the HR department.
No, but bro,
But the problem was that
I understand. I understand why they do that because
Yeah.
he went only with English, just English.
Yeah.
This is what we're saying
It
here.
happens
a
It's
lot.
not about only English.
English, no.
Yeah.
It's
You need
extra
to have
skills,
the
yeah.
English plus. When
English
I
plus.
say English plus, make PowerPoint training,
PowerPoint training.
PPT course training. It's very important.
But also, people have
Make-
need to know what he wants at his professional
I think
career.
it
It's
was
very,
very
very
No, the
important.
problem is that
Not just going my experience. I'm saying in general. People have to know what do you want professionally.
No, but I'm
To
saying
design the steps.
I think these are very basic concept. They have training of Word, a basic skill of Excel, PowerPoint. I think these are fundamental. Everyone should.
But
should
in
have
theory,
these
it is.
basic-
But a lot of people do not
But
subscribe
of
to
course,
that.
They don't
do
have
that.
these. They should have. They should have. The one thing I was observing while Nicolau was saying about this job opportunity. What happens that I say, okay, Nadu, give me your CV. I will take to my company. But you never ask, John, you take me my CV.
Yeah.
What's
the department?
What's the department? What am I going to do? And then you need to have the job description.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Job
important.
description will
So you can fit yourself into the category. That's
will
it.
guide you.
I had a
Okay,
similar
in a way you
experience.
will conduct yourself properly in the interview. Okay, I need to study this. Okay, that's about HR, and I'll be at. I will work as a let's say payroll assistant. Okay, if I'm working with the payroll, I need to master Excel. I need to know a little bit of a Primavera, depending on software that you're using in that company. I need to have these before you go to company. Don't get desperate. Okay,
Yeah, you know about Primavera. I saw in your
I know.
CV.
I get a training on this. You people they are desperate to get a job and they don't ask.
That's for sure.
You're taking my CV.
And-
they don't even read the job description. If I say okay, Nadu, let's say thesis is recruiting.
The first
And
question
I
is
give
what?
you the
What?
email,
Yeah.
and you took the email and you send your CV.
Yeah.
You don't know what.
It happened to me once. A friend, she shared a job application on WhatsApp. I sent my CV on there. Man, 4 years later, I got a call. The call was I don't know if it was from Brazil, from Portugal, and they said, "Guy, we saw your CV and we love that." I didn't know exactly
Where?
what was the position.
You're
And
just
they
losing
said,
point.
You speak English and French. We want you, guy. and I said, what is that for? We need someone to be a director of an international company. Did you start administration? I said, no, I didn't. And it was also in my CV. And says, I'm sorry, guy. We wanted someone who really started administration. As you didn't, we loved so much your CV, but it won't be possible. I was like, oh my God, please. And the salary was $3,000. Yes, and I was like, my God, I lost it.
You know what this experience is telling us?
Yeah.
Is that at the basic level, English is a general general competence.
Yeah, guys, listen up.
You see,
Yeah.
at the basic level,
Yeah,
English
English
is a
general.
general competence.
Yes.
And there is specific competence, which is you associate directly. And now, if you speak English and you think that you're already on the top, you have a misconception about how things work, because there is no work here in our country that is going to hire you to speak English every day.
Every day.
Unless you are a translator. Unless you're a
yeah.
translator, but
Yeah.
out of that, I don't see any job that go 24 hours English.
Yeah.
We don't have it.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do 24 hours with English? Basically, in a company, like what are you going to do without speaking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Prior to that is tools like Excel and all that you're going to do. So
It said very well about Excel.
that's it.
I did a job with an American company in last year. Yes. Actually, English was important.
Yeah.
Because once I got selected, they called me and they said that if we could have a Zoom meeting. We had a Zoom meeting, and what I had to do, it was like a procurement job.
Yeah.
It was like a procurement job. And the tools that we used to do that job was Excel.
You see?
I think it was really a skill needed at that moment.
But now with
English plus Excel, so I did that job
yeah.
because I did my procurement here, and then I put that on Excel.
Yeah.
I sent that to them, they sent it to me, and sent back, and until we finished the work.
But there is one question we are not making.
Yeah.
Why do people still believe that just because you speak English, you're great? That's the question we have to make. Well, because we are saying a lot of things they have to do, but we're not answering why they think that. We have to have a theory for that. You see?
I think you talk something about it, but
Yeah.
can we answer this question right now?
No, we can't do it. Like, my idea is
Your
that
idea.
we still believe, people still think that just because you speak English, you're great. For very abstract level,
Yeah.
American influence. It's one of the things that I still believe that makes people believe that just because you speak English, only English, you're great. Because American culture is so powerful.
Yeah.
And whenever you speak English, they put you close to them.
Yeah.
But this is a very deceiving understanding.
What about the companies?
Because,
What about the usage of English inside companies?
no, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
But English simply makes you feel powerful because it makes you close to the American culture.
Yeah.
And we all respect the American culture, and we understand that all those that speak English are basically smart,
Yeah.
which is another question. This is
Yeah,
another problem.
yeah, this is another
Whether
problem.
just because you speak English,
I've
you're
seen a lot
smart.
of posts on Facebook.
A lot of things
Oh
about
my
it. We have to
God.
clear the air on here. This is not just like that. So if you speak English only and you think you're great, maybe you are misconceived by the idea of greatness of American culture and English community influence. But this is not. We gave experience here that you go into a job and ask you, do you speak English? Yes, I do.
and
Do
then
you know
you
IT?
realize-
No, you don't know. We start making practical sense
Oh my
of
God,
what you
English
see.
itself is not important.
You see?
When I realized that now, all I've been advising young people.
Yeah.
Guys, do you speak English? Try to learn another thing.
Other thing.
Yeah, try to master something different.
And the problem that when we
Yeah.
connect our English with our ego, this is where things get crazy. Because you think that you go in a job interview and you're believing that everybody's waiting to see you. This is crazy. Never go up to that. Don't subscribe to that. Nobody is expecting you to speak English and be amazed. They're there to make work. Like they have to report after the interview and say, look, JohN is good at that. JohN is good at this. JohN is good at there is nobody going to say JohN is good at English and we hire you. There's no such a thing as this. We have to forget about it. So answering the question, why do people believe just because you speak English, you're the great?
Yeah.
My concept is that the idea of being too close to the American community or English community and mostly American culture influence is what makes us believe that just because you're speaking, you're smart and you're great. But I'm not saying that speaking is not, that doesn't give you power. It gives you. What happens that if you do not take advantage of that power and use it in your favor, this is where things get crazy.
Yeah.
Because your speaking is good and people admire you. Try to bring in new things that, increase your power as a person and it give you advantage. But if you just stop there, it's just a misconception.
I've been listening to things like this. I don't know why, Nado. That guy is speaking English.
Doesn't have a
why
job.
Why is he suffering? He doesn't have a job. Why is he...
This is a good question. Now, this is a good question for those who still believe that just because you speak English, you have to...
What about networking? That's my question. What about, how is this networking?
Yeah.
Is that good? What about other skills?
Yeah, but we also have to remember there are people that had a good opportunity just because of English. Only English.
Only English. Yeah.
But those opportunities are fewer. Because
definitely.
those kind of opportunity only connects you to work with someone directly, or be a translator, or someone take you from one place to another.
Yeah.
But we cannot speak from the few minority. We have to speak at the broader sense, like, which is finding a normal job.
Yeah.
We have to account for that.
And we are trying to bring awareness to people that if you speak English, you don't have just to be a teacher.
Yeah.
There are other opportunities.
There's a lot
you have to develop other skills.
Yeah. But some will say, no, but I don't have, and this is a good point. I don't have money to make another courses, and there's secret.
But that's
Not excuse, right?
No.
that's not excuse.
But
people say that.
No,
Not excuse.
But what I can say at this point is something we do it very perfectly. Is like, if you speak English and you work on your level of understanding, it makes you feel like you have a lot of courses. And this is a very good trick. Like, if you speak English and you read so much, no, man, this is people don't understand. Keep telling. I don't want to be like me all the time, but I'm giving my example.
That's the idea.
Before I went to university, I had this idea that university is not. You can be smart without going to university. But then I realized that I was a little bit, misguided.
Yeah.
But what I was doing before going to university, I had an agenda I was writing. Like, this year, I'm going to focus on finance. I want to focus on communication. I'm going to focus on the business. And what I was doing during the years, reading things about this, going to Google, and finance, the concept about finance. What is finance? Blah, blah, blah. What is account? I was not doing proper course, but I was acquiring the language or field that I want to dominate. And then when I was talking to other people, and see me talk about finance, they were like, do you study this? I don't. It gives you. You see,
you are doing course.
You're doing course. It's not in a place, but you have the language. Because when you have the language of something, and this is psychology, people don't question. But this something. A woman told me about that. He said, "Me, look, if you want to master the market of psychology, you have to specify yourself into a field." And identify the field that you're good at and acquire the most language you can about it. And you're going to be identified for that. It's all about identification. It's not about course. It's identification. Then if you go on an interview and say, I'm good at finance, tell me what you know about finance. And you start explaining with the proper language of finance, they're going to believe that you're good at this. So it's not about sitting in a place. There is a lot of book out here. Go up and search for Google or real books and read that. But there have to be something that you identify with. This is important. Not just reading everything.
It's a role model.
Yeah.
Actually, what we see, these days, that students, they want to be like their teachers. Okay, if I'm an English student, and let's say I'm graduating on accounting or an HR, means that I need to spend time studying vocabulary relating to HR.
Sure.
But what happens that I want to know how to use verb to be, all this type of grammar, because I want to be like my teacher. Or I want to be,
maybe your teacher is your teacher because he didn't find out a good job.
Yeah.
You cannot follow him.
He forgets that he's a teacher.
Yeah.
He needs to have domain in terms of the grammar, all those stuff, because he's a teacher.
Yeah.
You as engineer, you are not supposed to master the aspect of a language. Okay? What you need to do, you have the skill, how to communicate, you can communicate.
Yeah.
And then now you have to dive into ESP. Study the terminology of that field.
Sure.
And when you go to job interview, you'll be able to convey message in your field. In a way, it will give an idea that this person has been working in this field for so long.
And the good thing is that when people realize that you can speak about something without studying that, this is the
That's
most.
good. And then you can get a
see?
training. Company can give
That's
you
for
a
sure.
training. Okay, he has a basic
Yeah.
knowledge of that field, and then I will give you
Yeah.
a training. What we do, Nicolau, is that we watch
Yeah.
every type of I would say let's say seminars, debates in English with different topics
Yeah.
in English. It's very good. I
That's very
sometimes
good.
I often go to your house, and I find Nicolau watching and reading
1
something,
hour,
watching,
2 hour podcast,
watching
just
podcasts
in
relating
English.
Wow, very.
relating to let's say engineering,
Engineering.
relating to let's say psychology, a different field.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one may ask, why are you
Spending too
watching
much
these,
time
spend too
on
much time
this, yeah.
watching
Yeah.
this podcast about engineering if you not that?
Yeah.
It is very important because this will open your mind in terms of how you think the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you are invited in certain places to deliver a speech, you'll be able to talk about different aspects, different topics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then a person will, wow, where have you studied? Did you
wise
study
man.
this? No. Means that I watched, I read, and I'm within society.
Sure.
I need to communicate with the people who have graduated in a different field. I want to understand a little bit. I want to be able to understand a piece of information that he uses in his field.
That's for sure.
And then I have to study. I have to study. Of course, as Nicolau said, you have to have one area or one field that you have to be an expert.
Yeah. You have to identify that you like it,
Identify,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Nadu is a teacher. Nadu, wow, look the way he speaks is a teacher. Okay. Well, Nicolau is a psychologist. Okay. But it does not mean that if we talk about the social aspect, it does not mean that Nicolau and Nadu will not be able to have a dialogue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Nadu will be able to give because Nad reads about
Yeah.
books of social sciences. Okay, this is what missing in most of English speakers. They think English it's I can get a job on
Make money, which is the hardest thing to
money.
do with English.
And then
It's the hardest thing to do.
we have
harder things to do.
we have a lot of teachers that they came with a parachute. I don't know
Yeah.
what they
Yeah.
they did their
Yeah, that's why
they
we
did
have
their
this
studies,
podcast.
and then
Yeah.
it's very I think it's very important to understand that okay, with English
Yeah.
you can get a new knowledge, a new information.
Yeah,
You
new
can
information.
use English to get new knowledge, to get new information.
Yeah.
Okay, I can read books written in English by different scholars,
Yeah.
by different academias,
Yeah.
and I will sort of garner my knowledge in different fields.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's very important.
And then my general culture will be acceptable. And when I go within classes and there are different topics, I'll be able to give my opinion over the topics I read.
Sure.
It is very important. Otherwise, then they will ask a teacher, but you're only speaking English? It's only English?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
So
What else is
English-
What
it?
else? Yeah.
And sometimes they'll be asked, teacher, what do you think about this? We're discussing about internet and internet. What is internet
And what
means?
is
What is
internet?
internet? And then
Yeah.
and then if you
You have
don't
no
know
language.
nothing
And this
about
is
it.
not
if you
English,
know
this is
about
general
this,
information.
General
if you
information.
know, okay,
Yeah.
this is this and that's this, and they'll say, oh wow, teacher, okay, you read this guy.
Otherwise,
this
your
guy
conversation will
read,
say, I'm
and then-
good. The guy,
I'm
I'm
good.
good.
Yeah,
at
That's
that.
it.
good, and that's very important
and for
to be
those-
within the topic.
Yeah.
And for those who's saying, how can I identify with something? It's important also to clarify
Yeah.
that how you can identify with something. My advice that you read different information as much as
Yeah.
you can, geography, history, but there is one of them that you're going to be
Yeah.
more inclined
Yes.
to keep doing it. And this is where you're going to find out your turning point. So if you want to identify what you're good at or something that you can take as a professional path, start by reading most of the things you see.
Wow.
And then in between all that, or among all this choices, there is
Fine.
one thing you're going to identify you the most.
Wow.
And as you start feeling that, I feel more comfortable when I read geography. This is where you have to start taking. But it doesn't mean you have to stop reading other things. Now, just read other things, as John said, for general knowledge. But when you want to really dive into it, you have to go specifically on that. And people say, how can I start? It's simple. Start by asking the question, what is this? In Google. I think we should use Google more than we use.
Guy,
What is
Google,
this?
YouTube.
Yeah. And there's also a question, how can I be, what can I do to be a good this or that? This is a good question on Google. It gives you steps on how you can do it. It can be at the personal level or technical level. For example, when I started studying psychology, I was searching, for example, how a psychology needs, what psychologist needs to have as a person to understand the personal level. Like patience is one thing you have to do. You have to have the ability to explore information.
Yeah.
And I had this idea. Then when I start studying psychology, it allows me to know what I know now, because I know that it's not about technical skills, it's also personal skills. I have to be patient. I have to explore. I have to do that. And so these advices are also very crucial for those who really want to dive into this English and job opportunity and identify with something for sure.
Yeah, but Nadu, it's not easy.
Yeah. It's
But
not easy because you don't make money. You
yeah,
just spend
the
time.
yeah.
Yeah. And if you're very inclined to money, it can be very exhaustive.
Yeah,
Wow.
and,
Yeah, because,
and motivation
Yeah.
actually plays a big role when it comes to studying subject which are not which you're not comfortable
Yeah,
with.
very.
Motivation is very important. You need to have you need to be motivated to study, because if you just call an English student who is doing, let's say, elementary or pre-intermediate, and give him content or books relating to engineer, in English, you take it. Oh, Nadu, come on.
I don't like it. Yeah.
I don't like it. It means that I don't have a motivation, okay, for doing that. But motivation is something that we need to have. Okay, according to Bandura, says that when a person learns faster when he's motivated.
Yes, when he's
Okay.
learning something, things that he likes.
Yeah, he likes and tends not to forget the things easily.
true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give one clear example about. I always like to talk about storytelling, because I think storytelling is a powerful weapon a teacher or even a professional should use, and professional setting is very important. In case of what happens, I used to observing my sister when you used to watch soap opera, and you see my sister watching soap opera. When that finish, she can reproduce, she can tell us everything that happened on soap opera. No, this happened, this, with every details.
Wow.
I say, wow, wonderful. And you see that the type of motivation he has, okay, to tell you the story, means that, okay, this person is really immersed in that, and he can tell you over and over again. 2 weeks, he will tell you the same story, and it happens also when we learning stuff with motivation. You're not gonna forget easily. It is very important. We have a motivation when when we learn.
Guys, time is running.
Yeah.
Time is running
It's a
away.
long conversation,
Yeah, the conversation is good, but we have to end up it, guys.
Okay.
I think we have to make the second part.
Only we are just starting.
Yeah, we didn't see
Yes,
it. Yeah.
even me.
There's a
it
good
feels
questions
like
and-
we have a lot of things to talk,
Yeah.
but it's already 1 hour and a half,
Ooh,
guys. Yeah,
ooh,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack. for
So,
sure.
before we close it,
Yeah.
before we wrap up, what advice would you give to people learning English, struggling, learning English to get a job, and so on? Let's try to summarize it. Maybe 1 minute for each one of you.
Okay. For those who want to learn English but they can't, my advice would be start from different angle, which is start by liking maybe the culture of English country, and then you're going to find out the point where you can identify or identify a person that speaks English that you really like and you really have affection for, and try to build your character over this, and then let your curiosity guide you into this. Because most of the time, what is missing to people that wants to learn but they can't is that their curiosity is a little bit shut down. Shut down. So, and language and curiosity have to go hand to hand. If your curiosity is low, your language is not expanding because you have to search. Part of learning a language is exploration, and curiosity gives you this go through. And then for those who speaks and they're struggling to get a job, we already spoke about it. Try to identify with something that really works out of English, and try to merge both and find out a way to express it and show it to people, because it's important people to know what you are good at, not just English, but in general. What drives you, not just English, but what drives you. And for those who speak English and want to grow their level of communication, I suggest exploring knowledge, not just English, but knowledge. Instead of just reading about how phonetics or grammar says, you have to read about economics, sociology, psychology, IT. Try to read this whole different knowledge, and then your understanding of English will grow as well as your communication, because you don't start English directly. You start knowledge or information, then English comes as a default because you're learning in that language. So this will be my 1 minute advice for all.
Well, your 1 minute advice?
For those who actually struggle to learn English.
You can look at that camera.
Okay, my advice is that first of all, you need to identify your learning profile. By learning profile, identify if you learn easier when you watch, or when you're listening, or when you read, or when you have, I would say, people around you. I mean, social learning profile is very important. And spend time studying. For example, if my learning profile is visual learning or visual type, I was spending time watching episodes in English, films, documentary. I will spending time watch things because I have tendency to learn faster. The one thing is just use, I would say, social medias. Now we have a lot of platform where you can learn some English. There are great teachers out there that can guide you and give you a little instruction on how you can develop in your English skills. Don't get panicky if you don't understand. This is a process. Okay, this is a process. In the process of learning, you will stumble, you up, you stumble, you up. The most important, you have to have focus. You have to know what you want. And if you know what you want, you have focus, I believe you will achieve what you want. And then people, they will come to critique that this is not the best way, this is not the right teacher, but never lose focus. Okay, that's all I have to tell you.
Thank you very much, guys, for your presence.
Yes.
It was a very interesting and productive conversation, and I hope that we may have a chance to be together again.
No, for sure, we do.
Yes,
for sure.
Because I realized that you have a lot of things to share.
Yeah, we didn't talk about behavioral profile.
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
But let's see, we make it.
Oh my God! Maybe
don't worry, next time.
I'm gonna make this.
No, that's for sure.
Yes, because it was something that I wanted a lot. Next time I'll do it, okay?
Yeah.
So, então, se você gostou desse vídeo, não esqueça, subscreva agora mesmo o canal, ative o sininho, partilhe com amigos e não esqueçam, pessoal, se vocês... Uau, agora esqueci o que eu ia dizer no final. So, guys, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to share with your friends, okay? We're together and see you next time. Ango Polyglot, language connect people. Bye-bye.